Good evening and welcome to the City of Helena City Commission meeting, July 7, 2025. The time is 6 p.m. and this meeting is called to order. Madam Clerk.
City Attorney Doctor.
Here.
City Manager Burton.
Here.
Commissioner Dean.
Here.
Commissioner Logan.
Here.
Mayor Collins.
Here.
Commissioner Shurtleff, I apologize.
Here.
And for the record, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Reed is excused for a work engagement.
Thank you. Would you rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Minutes. Our minutes from 6/11/25, 6/16/25, 6/25/25, and 6/25/25, our special commission meeting, were received. Do we have any comments, additions? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I do apologize. Commission staff did find an error in the public comment for the 6/11/25 meeting, so we'll be requesting, with the Commission's approval, a change to the public comment for Callie Asham. She would like the minutes to reflect her proponent for the roundabout in that meeting.
Thank you. Board appointments. I'm recommending the following board appointments. Helena Business Improvement District, appointment of Lonnie Kemna to an interim term on the Helena Business Improvement District. Interim term expires October 31st, 2027. I'm also recommending for the Lewis and Clark County Heritage Tourism Council, appointment of Tanya Haynes to a first term on the Lewis and Clark County Heritage Tourism Council. Term expires June 30th, 2028. Commissioners? Do we have any public comments on this? Madam Clerk, any online?
Mr. Mayor, I have no public comment online.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I move to approve the appointment of Lonnie Kamna to the interim term on the Helena Business Improvement District. Interim term expires October 31st, 2027, and the appointment of Tanya Hintz to the first term of the Lewis and Clark County Heritage Council, Tourism Council. Term expires June 30th, 2028.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Commissioners, any final comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Shurtleff.
Aye.
Commissioner Dean.
Aye.
Commissioner Reed. I apologize. Commissioner Logan.
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 4-0.
Bid award, community facilities, bid award for Fire Station Number 1, mechanical upgrades, project CF 23007. Facility Manager, Bridget Johnson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I come to you this evening to ask you to award a bid for mechanical upgrades to Fire Station 1. The 50-year-old boiler and its components are beyond their useful life, are inefficient by today's standards, and require regular repairs. This project will provide new energy-efficient boilers, upgrades to the air handlers, new digital controls, and replace broken heating units. Bids were opened on July 1st, 2025, and the lowest responsible bidder was Tri-County Mechanical and Electrical with a base bid of $325,649. This bid is within our budget. Staff recommend moving forward with this project and awarding the bid.
Thank you. Commissioners? Go ahead.
Quick question, Mr. Mayor. Do we know what the cost saving estimate will be with the more efficient boiler system?
Mr. Mayor and Commissioner Dean, we do not. We have not had an energy study done on this building, but we do know that they are very old and in very bad shape.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Do we know the lifespan of the new boiler? if purchased?
Commissioner Shirtlift, Mr. Mayor, I do not know that as well. We are not, we haven't received the information that tells us exactly which boiler there will be. There's some substitutions allowed.
Sure.
But the boilers that we have done recently are, I think, 30 to 50 years. I'm not sure, but I could get you that information.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I move to award the Fire Station Number 1 Mechanical Upgrades Project CF 23007 to the lowest responsive bidder, Tri-County Mechanical and Electrical, in the amount of $325,649.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, I apologize. Did we take public comment on that item?
Oh, are there any public comments on this topic? Do we have any online?
Mr. Mayor, I have no public comment online.
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shirtliff,
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan.
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 4-0.
All right, communications, proposals from the commissioners. Anybody? Okay, I have a statement I would like to read. I appreciate the residents that are in attendance tonight. I assume you are here to share your concerns regarding the detainment of Mr. Martinez last week by federal law enforcement. I understand the immense frustration and fear that many of our residents feel about what transpired. The facts about what happened and the role of the Helena Police Department doesn't change the circumstances for Mr. Martinez and or his family. But I do believe it is important to reiterate what occurred with our police officers. Helena Police Department was coordinating with U.S. Marshal to locate a suspect wanted for felony domestic assault with a weapon. HPD was not coordinating a planned immigration raid. Federal agents notified HPD that they had potentially located the suspect, which led to a traffic stop by HPD. Because of the coordinated efforts, federal agents were present at the traffic stop. When the driver was determined not to be the suspect, HPD began issuing a traffic ticket that was ultimately not issued. It was during this time that federal agents notified our officers that they would be detaining the driver. HPD did not arrest or transport Mr. Martinez. Neither our officers or city elected officials have authority or jurisdiction to obstruct the work of the federal government. What I know about last week's incident, it highlights the incredibly complex and challenging situation that our police officers face every day. I deeply respect the compassion our residents show their fellow community members. It is part of what I appreciate most about Helena. But I ask that you remember that our police officers are also members of our community and are doing their best every day to serve us professionally and within their authority. Our officers are not lawmakers. They are public servants committed to maintaining the safety and well-being of our entire community. That often means they are called to coordinate with state and federal law enforcement agencies, and they must respect the boundaries of their authority. We are in a challenging time, and I understand the frustration that many of our residents feel, but I urge you to not lose compassion for our neighbors, which includes members of our police department. I'm proud of the integrity and professionalism that our officers display carrying out their duties, especially in times of intense scrutiny. And we will be having public comments shortly, so I will go ahead and read what's expected from people who would like to make public comments. At this time, we will hear not at this time, we will hear it shortly. As a reminder of the public comment process, you will state your full name for the record. After 2 minutes, I will ask you to wrap up your statement. You will be allowed to offer public commentary only once during this period. The commission is here to listen. This is not an opportunity for debate or ask questions of staff or the commission. For those able, please form a line at the podium, and I will ask all public commentary in the room prior to calling upon those participating online. For online participants, all meeting procedures apply to you, including time and opportunity to speak. Raise your hand in the Zoom platform and you will be called upon in order. If you would prefer to submit your comments in writing form, you may do so utilizing the public comment form available on the commission page of the city's website. Thank you. Report of the city attorney.
Mayor, Commissioners, I have nothing to report tonight.
Thank you. Report of the city manager.
Mayor, Commissioners, I have nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Communications from Helena Citizens Council, Representative Nancy Perry. You have the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I'm
Good
Nancy
evening.
Perry from HCC District 2. Our last meeting was June 25th. Our next meeting is going to be July 23rd, which is this month. It was an interesting meeting, and anything I tell you happened at our last meeting. At our last meeting, we had a guest speaker from Tri-County Fire Safe Working Group who talked to us about her organization, what they do to make the community aware of the threat posed by wildfires. She told us groups can arrange for Tri-County to speak to them about wildfires as she was speaking to us. And can also arrange for Tri-County's wildfire specialists to make a free inspection tour of the exterior of their homes and to give advice about measures that they can use to make their homes or their properties more fire safe. I believe she was there because she was hoping HCC would spread the word, and I'm spreading the word. Okay. We also discussed a couple of recommendations by the commission. You already know about the Broadway Street flooding recommendation. HCC wrote an addendum to our original recommendation discussing the specific changes that the city engineer was proposing to make to the existing storm drain. And the reason we wrote that addendum is when we wrote the recommendation, we just said, please do whatever the city engineer says to do, because there was no specific design at that point. So now we're saying, okay, he gave us 5 options, and we had a public meeting at Jefferson School. We invited all of the people that were impacted by that drain, and then it was also a public meeting, so the city put out a couple messages so people would know what was going to happen. The people who attended the meeting then listened to the meeting, and we all kind of talked together about the options that he gave us, and we agreed on the one that we thought would be the best one, and that is the one that I discussed in the addendum. Okay, so that was Broadway. Then we also discussed a new recommendation addressing the current state of the Anchor Park pedestrian tunnel and some proposals for cleaning up that tunnel. And I don't know if you folks have received that recommendation yet or not. If you haven't received it, you will soon, okay? We also voted to create an ad hoc HCC Transportation Working Group to discuss transportation issues in Helena, particularly the lack of public transportation. And their first meeting is going to be tomorrow. And that's all I've got, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Representative Perry. Commissioners, questions? Thank you. regular items. Consider Family Promise Community Aid Grant Agreement. Administrator Opitz, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. On August 7th, 2023, the Helena City Commission allocated $250,000 in a community aid grant to Family Promise to support their the remodel of their current facility, which will now be a 16-room shelter for unhoused women and families. The Commission gave consensus on June 25th to move forward with an agreement, solidifying that grant allocation for that scope of work, and that's what's before you this evening. Staff do recommend approval of that agreement. I believe that Executive Director Renee Bauer is online if you have any questions. But with that.
Thank you, Administrator Opitz. Commissioners, any comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Brief comment. I just want to extend my gratitude to Family Promise for their persistence and, really resilience in getting to this point. There have been a lot of ups and downs to finally get this money approved and a plan in place. And I'm very excited to see the new women's shelter be completed and open. So a lot of gratitude to them.
Thank you. Any others? Do we have any public comments on this item? Madam Clerk, any online?
Mr. Mayor, I have no public comment online.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I will move to approve a grant agreement with Family Promise of Greater Helena.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 4-0.
Consider bill grant acceptance. Director Kanopke, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This is the formal acceptance by the Commission of the bill grant that we were awarded. We first applied for this grant back in February 2024. Finally heard on the awarding of it in January 2025. It's for $1.3 million to do preliminary engineering on the east side connector, basically from the South Hills interchange there down to Highway 12 across that vacant property in the hopes that we open up that property to housing and a multi-use area. The grant is for pre-construction activities only, so the planning, the NEPA, the plans, and our hope is to get this moving get this moving and completed within the next 12 to 18 months so that we can go out for the implementation funds at a later date. At this time, City recommends accepting the $1.3 million build grant award. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, any comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion then.
Mr. Mayor, I will move to approve,
Excuse me, geez. Do we have any public comments on this item? Madam Clerk, any online?
Mr. Mayor, I have no public comment online.
Commissioner, please.
Mr. Mayor, I will move to approve accepting $1.3 million in the build grant award.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Commissioner Dean,
Aye.
Commissioner Logan,
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 4-0.
Consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit applications to the Federal Transport Administration. Deputy Director Cooey, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. I'll be pretty quick as well. So this is just a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit our grant packet to the FTA. If you recall, typically we do that through MDT. Now as a direct recipient through the MPO process, we submit them to the FTA directly. So all this does is grant the manager the authority to do that with your understanding that typically grants like this require a local match piece to them. And that's pretty much all the resolution says. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Commissioners. Are there any public comments on this topic? Are there any online?
Mr. Mayor, I have no public comment online.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioners.
thank you. I recommend approving a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit applications to the Federal Transit Administration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff.
Aye.
Commissioner Dean.
Aye.
Commissioner Logan.
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 4-0.
Consider a resolution dedicating city-owned property, Track B and Track C of Certificate of Survey numbers 474847 as right-of-way. Assistant City Attorney, I'm assuming, City Attorney, Doctor, you will take this?
I will. Thank you,
You
Mayor.
have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, Becky Doctor, City Attorney. I am here to ask you to consider approval of a dedication of right-of-way for Tract B and Tract C of what is currently owned as just city-owned property on Certificate of Survey number 474847. This was for the purpose to allow adjacent property owners to have legal and physical access to their newly created lots. When they did a boundary line relocation, that locked their property from legal and physical access. To dedicate Tract B and Tract C, it would allow them to have legal and physical access. This is consistent with an action the City Commission took in another adjacent property for Tract A, and it would be consistent with that action. Directors for city directors for Public Works and Transportation don't have any objection to doing this, and it would actually clear up some randomly owned city property and put it to good use for these adjacent owners. So with that, I'll answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Doctor. Comments from the Commission? Do we have any public comments on this topic? Do we have any online, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Mayor, I have no public comment online.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
move to approve a resolution dedicating Track B and Track C as shown on Certificate of Survey number 474847 as right-of-way upon the filing of a city-approved Certificate of Survey and upon the execution and filing of the dedication of right-of-way and acceptance with the Lewis and Clark County Clerk and Recorder.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff.
Aye.
Commissioner Dean.
Aye.
Commissioner Logan.
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 4-0.
Consider an interlocal agreement establishing a City of Helena and Lewis and Clark County Heritage Preservation and Cultural Tourism Development Council. Community Development Director Brink, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Good evening.
Good evening.
Tonight is the formal recommendation or formal consideration of really a revised interlocal agreement reestablishing the City of Helena and Lewis Clark County Heritage Preservation and Cultural Tourism Commission. I won't go into as much detail as I did last week, but essentially this is the most recent agreement creating the HTC and the Historic Preservation Program was signed in 2012. Since that time, the function and operation of the HTC has evolved and has outlived that agreement. There have been at least 2 iterations, the first one being 1989 and again the one in 2012. With each interlocal, as with the one being proposed, it sets out roles and responsibilities and duties of a historic preservation officer, as well as an advisory body, which is titled the City of Helena and Lewis and Clark County Heritage Preservation and Tourism Development Council, or HTC. With changes over the past decade, both to city and county administration and policy and staff, a new interlocal is being proposed that reflects all these changes. Again, before you is a consideration by both the City Commission, and this will go before the County Board of Commissioners as well, for a new interlocal, and to agree and enter to that said agreement. Advantage for new interlocal, it recognizes changes in both hours of the county's administration policy and aligns the historic preservation programs of both jurisdictions better than what it does now. One of the disadvantages if we don't consider a change to this interlocal, we're afraid, both city staff and county staff, that or existing conflicts that this interlocal perpetuates will continue relative to management, funding, roles, and responsibilities of all parties in that interlocal. So tonight, before you, staff recommends that you consider approval and enter into an updated and revised interlocal agreement established in the City of Helena and Lewis and Clark County Heritage Preservation and Cultural Tourism Development Council.
Thank you, Director Brink. Comments from the commission?
Just a brief question, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Dr. Brink, has the county adopted the interlocal yet? Just curious about timing, about implementation.
Mayor Commissioner Dean, no, we're the first stab at it.
Okay.
I've got my counterpart, Greg McNally, here as well. It's not coming before the Board of Commissioners until the end of the month.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any public comments on this topic? Madam Clerk, any online?
Mr. Mayor, I have no public comment online.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I will move to approve an updated and revised interlocal agreement establishing the City of Helena and Lewis and Clark County Heritage Preservation and Cultural Tourism Development Council.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Shertliff.
Aye.
Commissioner Dean.
Aye.
Commissioner Logan.
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. Consider a resolution distributing rural urban renewal district tax increment financing fund to the Montana Business Assistant Connection MBAC for building entrance accessibility improvements to the Poplar Street Business Incubator. Director Brink, you have the floor.
Mayor Commission, thank you. Exciting to bring these next two items before you, as always, with TIF projects. But tonight, as you mentioned, it's a consideration of a resolution distributing railroad TIF dollars to MBAC for building entrance accessibility improvements to their Poplar Street Business Incubator. On June 9th of this year, MBAC submitted an application to us for consideration of railroad TIF funds in the amount of $59,775. This funding request will allow for building entrance accessibility improvements to be made to their business incubator located at 1015 Poplar Street. Per the application, the Poplar Incubator provides below-market rental rates for startup businesses and nonprofit organizations in the Helena area to foster local entrepreneurship, create economic activity, and workforce development. This project will support all tenants of the Poplar building, including Helena Civic Center, or Helena Civic Television, Medicine Springs Mental Therapy, Queen City Wheelhouse, and the Haynes Family Chiropractic. However, it will directly serve MAPS, MAPS Media Institute, which is a nonprofit organization that provides statewide STEM media programming for youth in Helena and throughout the state. And again, as I've mentioned before in previous TIF projects, due to our dissolution of the previous existing railroad TIF district, and we have no SAT combined TIF board as of yet, staff has taken the position that we're going to recommend that you approve this funding. Total cost for the entrance improvements exceeds $138,275, making this TIF request $59,775, approximately 43% of the total cost of TIF activities, which is well within the 50% max. Some background information: the Railroad Urban Renewal Plan's intent is to eliminate blight, encourage redevelopment in the district using tax increment financing as specified by state law. Under MCA, costs incurred in connection with redevelopment activities as allowed in MCA are eligible for TIF funding when they clearly serve a public purpose in alignment with the Constitution of the state of Montana. We feel this impact project wholeheartedly aligns with the Railroad URD plan, which established goals of increasing property utilization and function and expanding and diversifying the district's economy. As such, proposed project wholly aligns with the goals of the URD plan. It is staff recommendation, again, as I've mentioned, that the commission consider to move to approve a resolution distributing urban renewal tax increment financing funds to MBAC for building entrance accessibility improvements to the Poplar Street Business Incubator. And I've got a representative from MBAC as well if you've got questions about their application.
Thank you, Director Brink. Comments from the commission? Do we have any public comments on this topic?
Oh, go ahead. Yep.
Mayor, Commissioners, Eric Seidensticker with MBAC, SEIDENSTICKER. Director Brink summed up everything that we're requesting. I just wanted to point out to the commission, we've had this building for 40 years. It's older than I am, of course, but we've been operating it as an incubator ever since, and it's just something that we were asking for some assistance because we've had to kind of shuffle around our project budget to kind of fill some deltas in the construction bid that we got last fall. So we operate the building just as it has always been. MAPS Media is a really great tenant. They do education for young folks, and currently right now the building has a really awkward metal door that when it gets too hot, it doesn't open, and when it gets too cold, it doesn't open. So this vestibule will kind of enclose that, put an ADA ramp into the building, and make it look better. So that's kind of the gist of the investment. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments on this topic? Madam Clerk, do we have any online?
Mr. Mayor, I have no other public comment online.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I will move to approve a resolution distributing Railroad Urban Renewal District tax increment financing funds to the Montana Business Assistance Connection for building entrance accessibility improvements to the Poplar Street Business Incubator.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff.
Aye.
Commissioner Dean.
Aye.
Commissioner Logan.
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 4-0.
Consider a resolution distributing downtown urban renewal district tax increment financing funds to YWCA Helena for facade improvements at 501 North Park Avenue. Director Brink.
Yeah, thank you again, Mayor and Commission. May 22nd of this year, YWCA Helena submitted an application to a community development for downtown tax increment financing funding in the amount of $150,000 for facade improvements on the historic YWCA building located on North Park. Requested funding will specifically be leveraged for replacement of 60 windows across the first and second floors of the YWCA's 170-year-old property. The agency had previously been awarded TIF funds that would in part assist with similar work on the third floor of the facility as well as other historic facade improvements, and was also successfully sponsored by the city for a CDBG grant for HVAC and facade improvements. However, inflationary forces have led to cost escalations since those awards, and the increased need for additional funding is what brings us to you tonight. Due to, again, because we have no set consolidated TIF board, TIF advisory board, staff has taken upon ourselves to make a recommendation tonight on this project. The total cost for the window replacement work on the first and second floor of the building totals $474,201.03, making this TIF request $150,000, approximately 32% of those eligible costs, well within the 50% allowance. Downtown Urban Renewal District plan's intent is to eliminate blight, as they all are, and encourage redevelopment in the district using TIF funding as specified by state law. Under state law, costs incurred in connection with the redevelopment activities are eligible for TIF funding when they clearly serve a public purpose in alignment with the Constitution of the state. MCA in turn allows municipalities to improve, clear, and prepare for redevelopment any real or personal property in urban renewal areas, as in this instance. Further, this project aligns with the URD plan, which has established goals of 1, upgrade underperforming properties, and 2, promote historic preservation to create a quality and unique experience. These goals set forth objectives that speak to facilitating facade improvements and capitalizing on the downtown's historic assets. As such, the proposed YWCA project wholly aligns with the goals and objectives of the URD. For that reason, Mayor and Commission, staff recommends the approval of a resolution distributing downtown urban renewal tax increment financing funds to YWCA Helena for facade improvements to the facility on North Park.
Thank you, Director Brink. Commissioners, comments?
Quick question, Mr. Mayor. Director Brink, so this is a multi-year project that you've noted the CBDG grant that we sponsored for YWCA. Do we know if this will wrap up the project this year?
So I think Denise from the YWCA is here as well, and she could speak to that. They've had to modify their project throughout the past. I think the original CDBG was awarded in '22.
Yeah.
So because of the market and issues with finding contractors and that whole situation, they've had to modify. So like I mentioned, the third floor was funded with TIF dollars with an amendment to that to infuse a little bit more TIF dollars to complete the third floor. I'm not sure where it is in the schedule. And then again, this is due first and second, which was intended to be all at one time, but they've had to phase it. But Denise can speak more to that.
Question?
I think so. I'm not sure. It was this year.
Mr. Mayor, members of the committee, Denise King, Executive Director of the YWCA. Mayor, Commissioner, where we're at with our schedule, we have completed the windows and air conditioning on the third floor. We are working on the air conditioning of the first floor, and in 2 weeks, we move to the second floor to put air conditioning in. So the plan is for that part of the project to be completed at the end of August. With the funds that we'll be hopefully receiving from you all, we will be placing the order for the windows, and delivery time could be first quarter of '26. As soon as we have the funding, we're ordering the windows. We're ginned up for that process.
Great.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from the commission? Do we have any public comments, other public comments on this topic? Madam Clerk, do we have any online?
Mr. Mayor, I have no public comment online.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move to approve a resolution distributing downtown urban renewal district tax increment financing funds to the YWCA of Helena for facade improvements at 501 North Park Avenue.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Shertliff.
Aye.
Commissioner Dean.
Aye.
Commissioner Logan.
Aye.
Mayor Collins.
Aye.
The motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. All right. Before we move on to general public comments, as I said earlier, this is just a reminder, please state your full name for the record, and please respect each other. We have a full house. Everybody wants to be heard. So let's respect the 2 minutes time limit. At the rate we're going, we're looking at least 2 hours plus. So at this time, is there anyone who wants to address the commission? Please step forward. Please. Ma'am, would you put thank you.
My name's Maria Pacheco, and I'm here today just to make you guys aware of the situation. My husband is Christopher Martinez, and I just wanted to state that he was detained unlawfully. He was deprived from his rights, and I wanted to let you guys all know that this has impacted my family in many ways. My daughters, they moved our practically schedule. I have 2 that can't sleep without him. And my girls are just crying and whining and asking for their dad daily. And it's been affecting us in many ways. So I just want to let you guys know. And on my side, I'm trying to do the best I can to make my family safe and happy. That would be my public comment.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, my name is Sherry Jones, 1039 North Warren Street in Helena. This evening, I am speaking as President of the League of Women Voters of the Helena area. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan grassroots organization working to protect and expand voting rights and ensure everyone is represented in our democracy. We do not endorse candidates or parties. Our goal is to empower voters and defend democracy through advocacy, education, and litigation at the local, state, and national levels. The League supports due process for all persons, including the right to a fair hearing, right to counsel, right of appeal, and right to humane treatment. Due process is a fundamental right guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. It protects all people, citizens and non-citizens alike, against arbitrary government decisions, and it ensures fairness in legal matters. The League of Women Voters of the Helena area is concerned about the lack of due process afforded Helena resident Christopher Martinez after his recent arrest and detention. When due process is denied to some people, it puts all of our rights at risk. I urge you, as the policy-making board of Helena, to create guidelines that ensure due process for all Helenans, regardless of their immigration status. In particular, please include a policy or ordinance that would limit local law enforcement's unwarranted or unnecessary cooperation with immigration customs enforcement. Thank you very much for this opportunity to comment.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Robin Biffle, B-I-F-F-L-E. I come before you as a retired law enforcement officer. Among other things, I served for 18 years and retired as a detective sergeant. I later was ordained as a priest in the Episcopal Church, and so I am coming to you with those two hats. My comments were submitted online, but I wanted to put a face to those comments. I find that sometimes helpful. So I yield the rest of the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Morgan Esberg. I do work for MFPE, but I am not here as an MFPE employee. Based on your statement earlier, Mr. Mayor, it sounds like we now have a federal policing entity that can act without accountability, and basically they're a vigilante group that can freely act against anyone as they wish. And you're saying that the Helena Police Department can do nothing to stop this. The Helena Police Department must hold the federal agents to the same laws that they are sworn to uphold. Their jobs are being pushed back from management to prevent them from being able to make those ethical decisions on their own, and we need help from the top to allow ethical decision-making to be made along with legal decision-making. Additionally, my mom has made the comment that this artwork should be reconsidered. It is very outdated. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Eric Stimson, S-T-I-M-S-O-N. I'd like to address the Commission about the procedures that took place in the detaining of Mr. Martinez. Without speaking to the rightness or wrongness of it, it's hard for me to believe that men can come into our community without identifying themselves, without badge numbers, without name tags, all the necessary identification that we've come to expect from law enforcement. How is a citizen and a non-citizen to know that these people are acting legally? To me, they could just as well be Proud Boys dressed up in militaristic uniforms. So I think some standards must be enforced, no matter what the law enforcement agency is, so that local officials know who's coming into the community, who they are, who they report to. Without that, this is pretty much a lawless society. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Keegan Shea, citizen. I'm just going to make a couple points or demands. I demand an accounting of the resources expended by Helena Police and other city officials and public officers in their collaboration with ICE in particular, but any federal anti-immigrant authorities. How many man hours from HPD personnel are being allocated to anti-immigrant activities? Does HPD take orders from the feds? I demand transparency regarding what actually happened to Christopher and why, but also regarding the city's policies moving forward beyond the bare minimum requirements of the public's right to know. I demand a change in policy for city officials and public officers in their communications with the public. The lies are free, but the truth is always behind a paywall. Retractions, clarifications, excuses, and post hoc rationales do not cure the harm done when a public official spreads inaccurate information. And finally, I will inform you that if this city commission is unwilling or unable to resist blatant textbook fascism, we will find candidates for office that are, and we will work tirelessly to ensure they are elected instead of all y'all. When all of the alleged illegals have been removed, do you think these secret policemen will simply turn in their guns and find a new job? You should know better and do better, or you will be replaced. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Kylie Stubbs, Stubbs. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm here regarding Christopher Martinez, the Helena man who was abducted by Immigration Customs Enforcement last week. I spoke to the county commissioners during last week's public meeting and asked that the county be held accountable for the misuse of jail resources, the unlawful conduct of county officers. But I want to speak right now focusing on communication and coordination between ICE, Homeland Security, and the Helena Police Department. I ask that Brett Petty and the city of Helena be completely transparent about why ICE was consulted during Christopher's arrest. I want transparency about past communications between the city, law enforcement, and ICE. I also want a statement from the police department outlining protocols for future ICE arrests and the role that Helena Police Department and the city will play in those future arrests. That being said, I also request that you commissioners and any law enforcement here today truly consider the moral disconnect behind abducting innocent people off of Helena streets and allowing them to be disappeared. I ask that you use your influence to prevent local law enforcement from cooperating with ICE, providing fingerprints, or disclosing immigration status information about the citizens of Helena. Cooperating with ICE includes using city or county facilities to detain or hold people in ICE's custody. We cannot allow this to continue. I would also like to say, Mr. Collins, I was disheartened to read your comment about Christopher's arrest. I think that your position was weak, considering your status as an immigrant and as a man of color. And I think that you should have, it's your duty to do more to protect your citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. Gus Byram. Mayor, members of the commission, my comments are, they're brief. I timed them, they're under 2 minutes. I'm an old political science major, an old poli-sci major. Just a couple quick comments on due process. I thought it might help our community to better understand the current situation if we consider, as far as due process goes, how would Mr. Martinez have been treated if the same event had occurred exactly 1 year ago, say in July 2024? Okay, how would Mr. Martinez have been treated then in the city of Helena? Or even 10 years ago in 2015, how would Mr. Martinez been treated? The question would be, again, how would our federal, state, Lewis and Clark County, and city ordinances been applied to guarantee Mr. Martinez his rights and due process under law? Now, if this had happened a year ago or even 10 years ago, I believe with our law enforcement and our staff that Mr. Martinez would have been treated fairly. I mean, we have a very, very hardworking law enforcement staff, city and county attorneys working very hard, and excellent administrative staff. To conclude, we know the Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment to our Constitution state, no person shall be denied due process of law or deprived of due process, including the equal protection of laws within the jurisdiction of the United States. Mr. Martinez was in the United States. Okay, these are all inspiring words from our Constitution. We can get through this current situation as a community, Helena, Lewis, and Clark County, with our state and federal partners by following these principles. Okay, and to me, insofar, and to wrap up, insofar as the Fifth and the 14th Amendments apply, the beautiful shadow of our Constitution falls over all of us. The beautiful shadow of this beautiful, beautiful Constitution and this country that we just celebrated with the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, okay, falls over all of us, all persons including the City of Helena and our Lewis and Clark County residents in this blessed country. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Hello all, I'm Colton Torgerson. I am a U.S. Air Force veteran, and I just wanted to make a statement about Christopher Martinez. I think removing him from Helena is not justice. There's no justice to be had in splitting a family up and harming the lives of his wife and his child, who he will leave behind. There is no financial benefit or cost savings to be found in his deportation. It is actually financially irresponsible that we return people who choose to seek a better life in the USA to their native countries. Those who choose to reside here illegally have forfeited their protections and services afforded to all citizens and often still pay into those services. Additionally, these individuals generally come here as hardworking, able-bodied adults who take on jobs most Americans do not aspire to. These illegal immigrants are gifts to the country and the businesses that employ them. Moreover, punishing those that seek a better life and who often are decried as those who take our jobs is, and pardon this analogy, like arresting a drug user instead of those who supply the users. Another thing, the idea of an illegal immigrant is a new idea that came shortly after World War I and is contradictory to the Statue of Liberty, for which we were gifted for accepting all peoples. What makes the U.S. great is our immigrants. For example, Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, Sergey Brin, Alexander Graham Bell are some of the great immigrants to this country who have continued to benefit us and propped us as one of the richest countries in the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Bob Jones, 1039 North Warren. I'm here as a citizen this evening. First, I want to thank you for your outstanding service to our community, which is clear in everything I have seen you do, which is a fair amount of what I've seen. However, I share many of the concerns that have been voiced here. The fact that appropriate paths to citizenship are very slow in this country is certainly a major source of the problems we confront today, as you all know. But the creation of a federal agency whose entire function is to short-circuit this slow naturalization process is an even bigger problem. As you are probably aware, your policymaking body yourselves, you know that when you're faced with a mess created by a shortcut, which is what this ICE is, primarily a shortcut, it's created problems at the local levels, messes that happen at the local level that are created by federal and mostly federal attempts at shortcuts. So establishing adequate boundaries between federal and local law enforcement is now left to you to untangle with very limited resources and time. So rather than recommending an expensive, complex policy change, I think you have every right to suggest a fairly straightforward approach, especially given our already underfunded, overworked police and legal staff. I don't have any precise wording, not being a lawyer, but For example, ICE would need to at least produce convincing evidence that their activities will be significantly thwarted without local assistance. Not assisted, thwarted, right? So you don't want to stand in the way of justice, but you also want to make sure that you're not thwarting, you're not allowing things that don't need to happen. But at very least, a proper warrant identifying a clear need for local assistance should be a starting place for cooperation, which I think it was in this instance. But I do suggest beyond that boundary, probably including additional resources and funding to support the execution of their federal warrants using our overstretched resources here. So don't play an arm to the federal attempts to be a shortcut is kind of, I guess, what I'm saying. So anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Victoria Hill, and I'm a Helena resident and a pro bono immigration attorney. Pro bono means that I don't receive payment for my immigration work for families in Montana. I never have received any payment for the immigration work I've provided. I'm here to speak on Christopher Martinez's detention and my concern as it relates to a professional duty I have as a pro bono immigration attorney, and that's a duty to communicate effectively with my clients. Just briefly on background, I've represented 2 Afghan families seeking asylum from the Taliban who have settled in Montana. And I think it's important to explain a little bit of the background of asylum seekers here and just the situation that many immigrants who are seeking safety in our own community are seeking. One of my clients was a member of the Afghan Air Force who worked closely with the U.S. military in their fight against the Taliban to ensure that girls can go to school, that people can freely practice their religion. These are all, qualities that we share in this country and in this county, in this community. Another client of mine was a child bride to a Taliban member who married someone she truly loved, and she was threatened to be stoned to death for defying her arranged child marriage. So these are the kinds of situations that immigrants are fleeing their own countries from and coming here in our town, in our communities, to achieve safety. I'm currently representing asylum seekers whose claims haven't been adjudicated yet, and I'm incredibly worried that this same thing could happen to my clients and I will not be able to speak with them or even know where they're being housed. The sheriff's office confirmed that it prevented Mr. Martinez's attorneys from speaking with him when he needed to speak to them so that they could know where he was being transported, know what he was being accused of, and know what was happening to him. I'm incredibly concerned about that. The city should take every action to make sure that this doesn't happen again and that everyone has their due process rights upheld. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brandy Swingley. I'm here to speak about the miscarriage of justice as it applies to Christopher Martinez. When I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, I was going to talk about the trauma of watching, let alone being a part of that family, a family be torn apart in front of us for no reason, based on what was initially a case of mistaken identity. I watched Maria hold on to their 1-year-old while he played with the microphone of the reporter, having no idea that his dad, who shares his name and birthday, had just been taken from him, potentially permanently. But then thinking about that and what might move more people in this community, another thing came to mind. I have an academic background in social work. Most of my family are either in nursing, social work in some capacity, or in law enforcement. I also have a strong background in activism in the community. So I have heard commentary on Helena PD from a lot of different angles and directions. And what I have heard up to now has consistently been for years that this police department does a better job of fostering a sense of safety and respect in the community relative to a lot of other city police departments across the country. What I am hearing now, and what I have been hearing since we've started talking about cooperation with federal police, is that that trust is eroding. And I would like for all of you to ask yourselves what kind of impact that might have on public safety, what kind of cooling effect that might have on the community's willingness to cooperate with the police department when it's necessary to do so for safety, for actual domestic violence issues, for things that apply to the person that they were actually originally looking for. And whether we're willing as a community to allow this department to sacrifice years of work building trust and training and working with social workers to make this community safer, just for the sake of cooperating with a federal department that doesn't live here and doesn't really have any impact on our day-to-day life in this city. That's all.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Natalie Salazar. I actually wasn't planning on speaking today, but I'm going to on Maria's behalf. So on July 2nd, I heard through the grapevine that there was a brown man being arrested somewhere, and they just needed to see what was going on. We really haven't heard a lot about ICE activity in Helena. We've been kind of keeping track on what that looks like across Montana, which is actually like, we've been a bit, not a safe haven necessarily, but we've been a lot luckier than most states. And so when a friend of mine and I showed up at the scene where Christopher Martinez's truck was, and we waited just a few short minutes for his wife to come because he'd already been taken by the time we showed up. I witnessed a woman get out of her car with a 1-year-old in her arms and just tears streaming down her face. I don't know this woman, but immediately I knew some of the feelings that she was feeling in that moment. And that 1-year-old, funny enough, it had like he was in the middle of a meal before they had showed up. She had dropped everything, picked up her 1-year-old, and come straight to pick up her husband's car. In the middle of just a normal day, they had to do that. And I had the absolute pleasure of getting to know Maria Pacheco. She is a lovely person, extremely strong and bold, and loves her family deeply. And even she can't sleep at night. She's a very strong woman. She has told me how independent she has been, but she can't sleep. Her kids can't sleep. And it's just hard seeing somebody that I didn't know a few days ago go through that. Their attorneys are fighting for him now. They're trying to clean up the mess in which our city and our county made. But let's not let this happen again. It's just a family that's been torn apart for no other reason than, I don't know. I have no idea, actually. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Collins. I'm Sue Debree, D-E-B-R-E-E, and I hadn't planned to talk either, so it probably will be disjointed, but I'm heartsick because I know a lot of you and police officers that I work with and the DUI task force and things. My husband was a deputy sheriff, and I know what a hard job they have to do, often very thankless, and also that they have to make decisions under pressure in a hurry sometimes. I'm also spent the last 3 years of my life housing students from Ethiopia who were going to Carroll College here, who had come here on scholarships, very prestigious ones. When it was time for their semester was up in the United States for them to go back to Ethiopia, there was no Ethiopia to go back to. And I was in a place at my church where I heard their story, and I offered first to one, and then other people in this community stepped up and helped with supporting them through Carroll. They graduated with honors. It's one person after another's story. They all have their own stories, their own situations that they're fleeing. And I'm terribly worried about those two young women. One has a green card, the other one hasn't been able to get hers yet because everything was shut down. And they've put money and time and energy and effort into being excellent students and excellent members of our community, even received the Hunthausen Award at Carroll College, one of them. And the program that they started at Carroll to accommodate refugees has been blessed by the Pope. There's just so much going on in people's lives, and we need to not get sucked into this. police state that's being established in our country, the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Leanne Books, Books. I toured Dachau concentration camp memorial site when I was 17, and I didn't want to tour it. I will never forget the photos of the emaciated skeletal frames of barely alive human beings when the Americans liberated the camp. But what I won't forget is the statement from the neighboring villages that the people there didn't know what was happening in that camp. Well, we know what is happening in detention facilities across this country. I've lived in Helena since my graduation from Carroll College. I've been a professional in the business sector for 15 years, but I don't want to live in a city that does nothing. The disappearance of Christopher is only the beginning. We're fools if we don't realize that. When we come out on the other side of the kidnappings and disappearing of people in this country, and I have muscular hope that we will come out on the other side of this, the people who only followed orders were also held accountable. So I'm not an attorney, and I don't know what the legal solution is, but I know that courage is contagious. Please let Helena be a city that stands up to this injustice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. My name is Shani Henry, S-H-A-N-I, capital H-E-N-R-Y. I have a couple of questions and then a couple of pleas for you. I assume you will report that Helena PD is obligated to cooperate with federal marshals when they have a federal warrant. Is there any way that we can prevent that from involving ICE? I have no idea. I'm just asking you to do everything in your power to prevent ICE from being active in our community. I ask you that especially in these times where there is so much corruption in our federal administration that anything to do with the federal government, we have inherent trust issues with, and rightly so. So please, just a question, if we can do anything, even if we're obligated to cooperate with federal warrants, can we please take any action to prevent ICE from terrorizing our communities? Along those lines, I also implore you to do anything in your power and in your influence to aid him and his family. It is especially concerning to all of us with reports of lack of due process and lack of access to his attorneys. That is unacceptable. And any influence and power that you have, please, in these dark times, stand tall and do anything in your power to make Helena stand out right now as the city we love, and that we are a city that will stand up and fight for every one of our citizens. Thank you very much. I also want to just take a moment to thank all of you for your roles and the difficult position that you're in, as well as our law enforcement. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Commission. My name is Mary Ann Dunwell, D-U-N-W-E-L-L. I'm a resident of Helena out east. I'm also a state senator, and why I don't believe the family are my constituents now, they were before redistricting. Regardless, I'm not going to repeat a lot of what people said very eloquently and with such compassion. And I hats off, everybody, contained the outrage that we all feel. I feel it, that in this country, somebody can be, swept off the streets and taken by people in black outfits and put into a white van. I do want to say, this is new to all of us, and So it's got to be new to the Helena Police Department and you all. In fact, our good chief, Helena Police Chief Brett Petty, is in the back, and I was just visiting with him for a couple of minutes because I officially requested a copy of the police report as a state senator, and it's public information. Anybody can get it. Now, he was saying he's going to provide it, going to work with Captain Zander to secure that, because I'm still not convinced we have all of the information we need. I feel reluctant to criticize because we don't know what happened. I mean, we haven't seen the official report. And silence can do a lot of damage. So I just encourage you to just keep the sunshine on this issue. Chief Petty did say he implores people to get involved and thanks us all for stepping up. And I do thank him. In the past, members of the police department have helped me and my family, and you know, they're human. They're doing their job, and it's how we move forward with the information, all of it, that we're able to obtain, evaluate our actions, make improvements, and move forward. You know, I have a lot of concerns. I don't know that it's in the jurisdiction of the Helena Police Department or the Helena City Commission. You know, why is this gentleman still being held? If he wasn't the original suspect, where there was a warrant, why is he still being held? And why was he not able to consult with his attorney? So thank you for hearing everybody out and taking this seriously, because it is a real serious situation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Camus K. Cook, last name K. Cook, K-A-K-U-K. I'm a teacher here in Helena, and one of Maria and Christopher's daughters is my student. I'm not a good public speaker. Sorry. We've all, I think, part of how we got into this situation is everyone is living in their own little news bubble, their own little internet community, and we're not talking to each other, but this is happening in our real community. These kids go to our schools. When we all kind of belong to each other, and I hope that we are all in a time when it's really easy to become very cynical and not pay attention, that we are paying attention to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Thanks for hearing me tonight. My name is Scott Story, S-T-O-R-Y. I'm also here to speak on the events of July 1st, which I was a little disheartened to hear about. In fact, I participated that day. I went over to the courthouse to see what was going on with Mr. Martinez. I walked down to the police station to try and hear their story. A lot has emerged since then. Mostly I understand what happened, but there's some murky moments, particularly about exactly how the Helena Police Department was involved in the traffic stop. And then later, why Mr. Martinez was detained in the county courthouse or the county jail and not afforded access to his attorney. So I'd love to see some transparency about those particular points in particular. But everybody here has been very eloquent tonight, so I'm not going to reiterate what they said. I would just ask that you do whatever you can to help make sure Mr. Martinez gets his day in court. I don't know if you have any leverage there, but whatever you can do would be great. Again, the investigation as to what happened on July 1st, exactly why he was denied access to his attorneys. I would like to voice my opposition to any collaboration between local law enforcement and ICE, DHS, Border Patrol. To the extent possible, I don't think we should be involved in that as a community. Definitely, I would like us to oppose any participation in the 287G program, which I just learned about recently, and you probably know about it better than me. And then I'm going to put a slight personal spin on it. I look down and I'm like, oh, I'm wearing my Helena Adult Soccer Association shirt tonight. I play out on the fields near the airport with a bunch of gentlemen and women who are Peruvian, Mexican, Middle Eastern. I don't want my friends being pulled over in my community for driving while brown, which I think is what happened last week and led to somebody's family being ripped apart. It's not fair, it's not right, it's not who we are as Helenans, Lewis and Clark County members, or Montanans, or United States people, Americans. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Malin Nelson, and I am a concerned resident of Helena. On Tuesday this past week, Christopher Martinez, a loving husband and father of 4 children, was removed from our community by ICE with the cooperation of Helena Police Department. I watched as this man was driven away in an unmarked vehicle from the detention center. I felt helpless. He was not allowed to meet with his attorney, and he was swept away. ICE relies on community members remaining silent as they disappear whomever they seem fit. This is me refusing to stay silent. I ask you all to urge Helena Police Department to not comply with ICE and to keep all our community members safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is India Bailey, and I am a U.S. citizen. However, I am a dual citizen, and I am genuinely concerned that if they're going after residents and people with green cards, that once they run out of those people to go after, they're going to start going after dual citizens. And it's concerning because I've lived here for, 4 years now, and I am genuinely concerned I'm going to be pulled over one of these days. Sorry. And I'm going to be taken, and I'm not going to have due process because that is a very important thing and is a part of our Constitution. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
I am Leilani Copenhaver, and throughout the history of the whole planet, and including this country, there have been good guys and bad guys in history, and even while we are currently living at this point in history, we know who the good guys will be, and we know who the bad guys will be. This is a very important issue, and maybe the most important issue in our lifetimes, and it is important to take a stand and realize that there is no liberty, and there is no justice unless it is for all.
Thank you.
Thank you all for letting us all speak tonight. I appreciate it. My name's Daniel Reeser, R-E-E-S as in Sam, E-R. While I was sitting here, I was looking up a few things. One of the things, Mr. Mayor, that you had said is, what do you do? Times have changed. And I don't think that's a rhetorical question. I'm taking that personally. I took 10 minutes and looked at a couple of news headlines. Mr. Martinez was pulled over for an expired registration. According to the Helena PD in the report I read, in the article I read, they were going to cite him and cut him loose. I'm somebody who's also been asked by law enforcement, do you know how fast you were going? And I've been let go after that. So I appreciate that the Helena PD was going to do that for him as well. I looked up what the sheriff said, that ICE had a federal, immigration detainer. I want to read you what ICE.gov says about that. How does ICE issue immigration detainers? ICE sends a formal request to a law enforcement agency or correctional facility that has custody of a potentially dangerous alien. Many public officials recognize that partnerships between federal, state, and local law enforcement authorities help keep American communities safe. How safe are we that someone who was actually a domestic, abuser, an intimate violence partner, is potentially still on the street while ICE was taking care of somebody who just had an expired registration? Did the sheriff actually see anything formally to show that, because ICE can ask for a detainer for anyone, they could ask it for me. And what was done? What was formal? What can I do? I can educate myself. I can educate everyone else. All I want you to do is hold them accountable to the actual rule of law. That's all I want. Thank you.
Thank you.
City Commissioners, thank you for being here today. My name is Lily Clark, Lillyclarke. Seeing this community respond to the abduction of Christopher Martinez by ICE has been a true gift. We as a community have come together to declare that we have the responsibility and the right to define what safety in our community means. Christopher Martinez was abducted by men in unmarked uniforms in an unmarked car on Tuesday. The only reason that anyone knows this is because of a tip-off from a friend. We have recently learned that there are 8 others abducted by ICE and detained in Great Falls. 2 of them still do not have representation. In defining what safety means, we are here today to say that this is not it. Our taxpayer dollars going toward our Helena Police Department collaborating and coordinating with ICE in task forces on our streets is unacceptable. We are here to say that safety means our community members, our coworkers, our family members, our school students not being at risk of being abducted and ripped away without due process, without representation. This is abhorrent. We are here to say today no to 87G agreements with ICE. Our taxpayer dollars are not going toward the abduction of our community members off the streets. We are here today to say no coordination and collaboration with Helena Police Department with ICE. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the Helena City Commission. My name is Phoebe Howell, Howell, and I'm here to categorically oppose cooperation between the Helena Police Department and ICE. ICE has been committing flagrant human rights violations across the country, which have largely gone unchecked. Given the complicity of HPD in the events that transpired with Christopher Martinez's arrest by ICE on July 1st, what assurance do we have that when someone is pulled over by HPD, ICE won't be lying in wait around the corner in an unmarked van? Or, given the circumstances of Christopher's arrest, what assurance do racial minorities have that they too won't become a victim of racial profiling at the hands of HPD? I am a high-income worker in Helena, and I am happy to pay taxes for programs that improve our community and our quality of life. But I don't support senseless acts of violence against the Helena community that tear apart families, criminalize innocent people, and leave my friends and neighbors with more proven fear and distrust of HPD. I don't want that, and Helena residents deserve real assurances that these problems are being meaningfully addressed. We can't just say that there's not a problem when HPD would have known that Christopher Martinez was not their man if they had even checked his vehicle's license plates to know that it's not the suspect's vehicle. We can't say there's not a problem when city and county officials were spreading misinformation, alleging a criminal record, calling efforts to get Christopher Martinez's rights, propaganda, and alleging without any proof or actual crime that Christopher Martinez was a known associate of the person they were looking for. To restore any trust, there has to be a real reform and change to ensure that this doesn't continue happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, mayors and commissioners. I'm the Reverend Charles Way, that's WEI. I'm the pastor of Plymouth Congregational Church, but I am not here representing them. I am here as an individual and a resident of Helena. I am not a politician. I am not a lawyer. I don't know exactly what you have jurisdiction over. Other people have laid out the situation very well, and you don't need me to do that again for you. So I'm going to make an appeal to your spirituality and your morality. What happened to Christopher Martinez is evil. Full stop. I think most people in this room would agree with that. As a pastor, I end every Sunday service with a charge. which is an encouragement for you to change something about your life or to keep doing what you're already doing. So as a pastor, I'm going to give you a charge. I charge you to use your knowledge of the law to do everything in your power to make this situation better and to not let it happen again in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners and Mayor, for being here. My name's Catherine Kelly, Kelly. I visited Heart Mountain Relocation Center near Powell, Wyoming last summer. Heart Mountain was a Japanese internment camp in World War II, and as I toured it, I thought about how every community and person involved in that history had a role to play. There were stories of people who resisted and others who were complicit in the abduction of these citizens. I think as individuals, it can feel like we don't have power to influence these things, but I would challenge every one of you and everyone in Helena to consider how you would like your role in this moment in time to play out. If in 5 decades the story of Helena's response to this moment in time is told, how will Helena be represented? What will your own role be? I encourage the city to get ahead of future incidences with a plan and to communicate it widely to our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Appreciate your time and your service. Catherine Hausrath, Hausrath, Helena, Montana. I'm here today because when I first learned about this, I looked at our policy, and I think the Helena Police Department actually has a really good policy. I think it's consistent with the Montana Constitution. It prohibits detaining someone for non-criminal immigration violations for any length of time. So if Mr. Martinez had run into the HPD and Department of Homeland Security didn't happen to be in the same vicinity, they would have let him go. They wouldn't have kept him for any length of time, as I understand the policy. And so I would request that you fix one loophole that I see in your policy, which is there doesn't seem to be a way to prevent racial profiling, whether accidental. We all do it. We all have to recognize that we engage in these mistakes and have to fight against it. So if making sure that the target of the investigation is the person that the HPD is pulling over, because the consequences of mistaken identity under this current administration are so grave, we need to make sure that the HPD is following the spirit of the policy as well as the letter of the policy. And so making sure that we aren't pulling people over who haven't committed any crimes and then getting them sucked into this horrible situation that we have now. So I respectfully request you all look at the policy. It's good. And then make sure that you fill this one gap in it. So thank you for your time and your service.
Thank you.
My name is Gretchen Crum, K-R-U-M-M. I do very much appreciate the very specific recommendations people have come up here and offered you. I don't have that. I wish I did. I'm just here as a concerned citizen, and I want to stand here in solidarity with the family of Christopher Martinez and ask this governmental body to stand up for the right and due process of all of its citizens and to demand the return of Christopher to this city and to his family. So many of us right now feel powerless against a wave of authoritarian overreach coming from the federal level, but we cannot stand by while federal agents overstep their authority and remove citizens of our city. Helena is better than that, and I urge this body to use your authority and get involved in resolving this injustice and ensuring due process for all Helena residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for having this hearing. And my name is Becky Blend, and I'll be crass in this comment and speak of money, because besides the horror of what is done, of having a kidnapping, I want a forecast of what this will cost us as taxpayers in dollars and cents. If we get ICE and the cost increased for HPD, for anything here, will you be asking for another levy for law enforcement down the road? And also the costs of likely lawsuits and losing those lawsuits. I want forward thinking on this issue, besides the immorality of the whole thing. Do you want a taxpayer revolt over aiding evil, which is pretty much what this is? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor and the Commissioners, my name is Lisa Bay, and I'm here in solidarity with these comments. I also want to say that I have brown-skinned friends in this town who are afraid, and that seems like a real horrific thing to be living with. So I hope that I definitely back our police department. I think we have a good police department, but I want to make sure that they are also watching out for everybody's constitutional rights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, good evening. It was just asked about how much money this is all costing us. That's not what I was going to talk about, but I did just hear that through the big beautiful bill, the ICE organization, or whatever it's called, is going to receive more funding than most countries spend on their military. And it makes me wonder, what are they going to do with all this money and 10,000 new agents that they plan on hiring? What happened on July 1st was a travesty. It was unconstitutional. It was cruel, and it was immoral. And I think the reason we're all here tonight is not only to support Christopher Martinez and his family, which is very important, but we're here because we don't want to be in a situation where there's no one to stand up to speak for us when they come for us. I really feel like this is right out of Anne Frank's diary, or this is a rerun of the Schindler's List, or considering the costumes that these guys are wearing, is this a new Darth Vader film or what? I mean, this is ridiculous. And we're here to ask you to try to take whatever steps you can to protect our community. We realize you're a city commission, not a county commission, not a state commission, not a federal commission. You're in charge of Helena. Please help us. And what really aggravates me is the denial of an attorney to the people that they're abducting. Well, of course, if they're abducting them, they don't have any rights, but that's exactly what it looks like they're doing. If they claim to be following the law, then they should know that the Miranda warning is required before an arrest is made, or as an arrest is made. The Miranda warning it resulted from the Miranda versus Arizona Supreme Court case. And it establishes that individuals in police custody must be informed of their rights before being questioned. It's not very long. I'd like to just read it to you to refresh people's memory of what it says. Now remember, this is if you're...
You want to start wrapping up?
Okay, okay, I will skip that for the sake of time. Because I want to talk about something else that I think is much more dangerous. It's the 287G program. This is a program that allows ICE to partner with state and local law enforcement, agencies to enforce immigration, or other agencies to enforce immigration laws. It allows local officers to perform certain immigration officer functions under the ICE's direction and oversight. Functions like abducting persons off our streets without a warrant or probable cause and detaining them indefinitely while denying them their right to an attorney or to contact their family. Now remember, this is the 287G program.
Okay, sir, you want to wrap up? You're way over
I'm
your
wrapping it
time.
up right now. Thank you. Our Attorney General Austin Knudsen has subscribed to the 287G program, authorizing our Montana Highway Patrol to act as immigration agents. And they will work with ICE. Our Montana Attorney General apparently approves of ICE tactics. I do not, and I hope you don't as well. Please consider a city resolution or whatever form of delivery you can make that any local cooperation with ICE officers will occur only if those officers refrain from wearing masks, are willing to show proof of their identity, and they follow established police procedures. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I would like to leave a copy of what I said with, okay?
Thank you, everyone, for being here. My name is Tatiana Peck, Tatianapeck. And when I heard about Mr. Martinez, who was racially profiled and taken from his family, I thought of my mother and my brother and my stepmother, who do not pass as easily as I do. I thought of the friend whose husband, despite having legal status, no longer leaves his workplace on his lunch break. And I thought of the family members who are having friends and neighbors deliver their groceries out of an abundance of caution to minimize the number of times they leave their home. None of this keeps us safe. It was never meant to keep us safe, and we know that. The point is cruelty, and the point is vindictiveness, and the point is to press at the boundaries of the balance of powers and due process. But there are much better ways to accomplish our goals here. And what has happened to the Martinez family is a tragedy. Anyone who is subject to a forced separation from their family has experienced a tragedy. But what's happening on a national scale, and what will happen now that our Congress members have sold us out to give ICE a budget that is larger than that of multiple foreign governments, as another speaker mentioned, is a catastrophe. And it's an assault on human dignity and an assault on human rights. And I urge everyone here to do what they can in their power to push back on these forces, to push back on cruelty, to push back on violations of due process, and to not throw up borders around the concepts of compassion and who we deem as human beings. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to us.
You want to bring
I
the
appreciate
microphone
it.
down, please, ma'am?
Thank you for listening to us. I appreciate it. I was there on the 1st as well, at the courthouse.
You want to introduce yourself, ma'am?
Thelma Simon, Simon. I was there on the 1st at the courthouse, and then we were told to go to the Helena PD. So I went down there, and I was talking to a sergeant, Darren, and he gave me a copy of the policy, the Helena Police Department policy. And it's interesting because it's immigration violations, but a lot of these were not followed. It says, regardless of their immigration status, members of law enforcement will not automatically lead to immigration inquiry and/or deportation. And they're supposed to be treated as all individuals equally in not any way that would violate the United States or Montana Constitution. And that's number 415.3, victims and witnesses. And there's 415.4.1, supervisor responsibilities, where they're supposed to, before anything happens, they're supposed to go to their supervisor to ask about transferring a person to a federal authority. And then immigration detainers, that's another one that's been violated. And then at the end, it says training, which I found pretty interesting because identifying civil versus criminal immigration violations and factors that may be considered in determining whether a criminal immigration offense has been committed. Now, we met with Sheriff Dutton that day. There was no warrant for this man's address, and there was no citation by the city. So what they had was a warrant for someone else that was supposed to be violent, but we've never heard if that person's been found or not. And what concerns me is that Sheriff Dutton admitted that that night they changed our training. That's what he said to us on Tuesday night. And he told us there was no warrant and no citation for this gentleman. So that really concerns me. The other thing that concerns me is because we didn't get any information from the police department other than to come to this meeting, which is, days later, I called the person on the back of the card he gave me. It was a lieutenant with the police department, and he told me this guy was a Venezuelan gang member. And I said, how many do we have of those in town? And he said, oh, we have several of them. So when we met with Sheriff Dutton, I asked him about it, and he said he's never heard of it. So these things affect people, and it's affected this family tremendously. And according to this immigrations policy, you're supposed to be dealing with the issue, not turning people over to ICE according to their own policy. So if they're going to change their policy, then hopefully you have some input as to protecting this community and protecting people in this community, because the federal government seems to have a lot of money. I don't think our money should be used as supporting this kidnapping, because that's what I consider it too. I've taught all my kids about stranger danger, and I've taught all my grandchildren about it as well. And I think this is really a sad time for this city. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor and Commissioners, I had no intentions of coming up here and saying anything.
Would you speak into the microphone,
Okay.
ma'am?
I had
please?
no intentions of coming up here. My name is Linda Amo. I had no intentions of coming up here and saying anything. But I am appalled at what has happened with Mr. Martinez, that we allow this in our community. And may I suggest that you might want to speak with Mayor Zohan of New York City. He said he will not be intimidated by what they're doing, what ICE is doing. ICE could take you, or you. Is that acceptable? Is that what we've become? A fascist society? This is like Hitler. How can anybody live with something like this? And to be in fear all the time? If you leave your house, you don't know if you're going to be detained somewhere. Even in California, people are showing up in colored outfits, and I've heard people scream at them, who are you? What are you doing? They don't answer. Is that what we live in? That is so shameful if we allow this to happen. Like I said, Mayor Zohan, a mayor of New York City, has courage, has bravery, he has compassion, and they have something else. They've arrested judges too, where you haven't heard anything about them. That wasn't New York City, but they have arrested judges, and you don't hear too much about it anymore. But I refuse to live in a fascist society where people don't have a voice anymore. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners Logan, Dean, and Shurtleff. My name is Frank Krumkowski. I'm a Helena resident. I've been a Helena resident since 1972, except for a couple of years. I moved here from South Bend, Indiana, which was a racist town. And I found out that Helena was a racist town when I moved here, especially for Native Americans and blacks, many of my friends who were treated very, very badly. I did not know Mr. Christopher Martinez Marvan personally. I have met his wife, his little son, Christopher, who was giving me pretzels to eat, as he was so generous to me the other Saturday morning. It has been said, centuries ago by Aristotle and Plato and others that justice is the bond between citizens in a community. Justice. And if we do not have justice, what we have is injustice. I am a member of Plymouth Church, just as Pastor Charles Way is. Neither of us speak for Plymouth Church, but I echo his judgment that when you do something unjust, it's evil. Now, there are lots of things that I do not know about this case, and I would say that I, generally speaking, unless I study something very deeply, live behind a veil of ignorance. I think most people in Helena still do not know that Christopher Martinez has been abducted by ICE, or that he will be having a hearing on July 10th in Missoula. I'm glad he is having that hearing, and I'm glad that he has Andres Holliday, former member of the City Commission, as his lawyer, because he was a good lawyer and a good person. But I fear, as many people have said, that this situation is very, very dire and evil. I want to echo Senator Dunwell's suggestion and demand that the Helena police report be made public and be shared as part of an official report by the City Commission when the City Commission does a thorough investigation of what actually happened that day. Because I don't know what happened that day. I have many, many good friends over the years in the Helena Police Department and in the Helena Sheriff's Department. So I have no animus towards the police. But in this case, it sounds like they did something that they shouldn't have done, and that ICE, the Gestapo arm of Donald Trump, somehow got involved in this case and did something they should not have been allowed to do, because Helena does not have a 287G agreement, nor does our county. There are only 2 or 3 counties in Montana that do have this 287G agreement, which is an agreement between ICE and a local authority for doing something in cooperation. So I do not know, and I want to know, how did ICE get involved in this if we do not have a 287G agreement? What's been going on here that we ought to know and we should not know? Years ago, it was said that We'll never have a just society.
Start wrapping up, sir.
But yes, we will have a just society when we recognize that all of us are brothers and sisters, including Christopher Martinez and Maria Pacheco and her family.
Thank you.
Good evening. Keith Simon, S-I-M-O-N. In addition to everything else that's been said here today, it's believed that Christopher Martinez still resides or is being held in the state of Montana, and it's very important that that doesn't change, because that will make it much more difficult for his due process that he deserves to be his reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, Commissioners, my name's Connor Murnion. I'm a resident of Helena, a concerned citizen. Mayor, you said that the times have changed, and you're not wrong. I think that one of the biggest things that have changed is that the federal government and other entities at that level have started to execute what they see as the law, but is actually unlawful. It is unconstitutional. And we have to ask ourselves, if that is the case, then who is here to uphold the law? Where does the buck stop? Do we let ICE and others run rampant in our communities? Or do we stand up and do what is right for our citizens and for our community? Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any online?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, it's my understanding that there may be individuals here in the building but are sitting in overflow, seating in room 326 across the hall. I would ask, with your permission, Mr. Mayor,
Would you please?
ask those individuals that may be listening across the hall to come join us in the chambers if you'd like to make public comment prior to us moving on to the online participants. With that, Mr. Mayor, I have 4 hands raised and I have 1 written public comment online. How would you like to proceed?
Please read the written comment.
This message is from, or comment is from Tim Holmes. My name is Samantha Holmes. I am a resident of Helena. My 12-year-old daughter goes to school with her best friend, who is darker skinned. Her father is from Pakistan, I believe, and they have a plan of what to do if ICE raids their middle school. Her parents are lawyers, and they have made a plan that they will split up and call her parents to get them out of jail. They have plans of where to hide in the school if they should come, and they have plans of which friends of color to hide where. A full-blown panic bug-out plan. This is not the childhood I want for my baby girl. Please help fix this. This is trauma. This is a pain I cannot even begin to heal. This will soon begin to become a generational trauma.
Thank you. Would you step up, please, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. My name is Marty Finnegan, F-I-N-N-E-G-A-N. I looked up the mission statement of the Helena Police Department. Quote, "We are dedicated to providing our community with professional law enforcement services through equitable enforcement of the law, continued professional development, and respect for the needs of our citizens. We remain committed to the protection of human rights and focused upon making Helena a safe place to live and work." In my opinion, in this incident with Mr. Martinez, the police department failed badly in its mission. I find what happened to be unacceptable, and I think it's something that must not be repeated. I would like the city to take measures to ensure that it is not repeated. To know what measures would need to be taken, you need to know exactly what happened. There's a lot he said, she said, different press reports, different statements, and so forth. So I would humbly suggest that there be a full investigation, and that investigation could start with something pretty simple, which would be the release for review of recordings of dash cams and body cams, radio transmissions, emergency calls to 911, even the citizen call-in line from the woman who just said that she was told he was a Venezuelan gang officer. And as a result of that investigation, it's going to go in one of three directions. If we find that law enforcement officers don't really know or understand the law and policies and procedures, then they need training. If we find that they know the law, the policies, and the procedures, and they chose to violate them, then there needs to be disciplinary action. And if Helena Police Department staff properly followed all law, policies, and procedures, then those require change, and at least as pertains to the city, that is in your remit, and I hope you would consider addressing that. Thank you so much.
Would you allow the ones online, please?
Mr. Mayor, first with our hand raised online, I have Liz Franklin.
You have the floor, Liz.
Good evening. I hope you all can hear me. My name's Liz Franklin. I don't have anything particularly new to add. I echo a lot of the comments that came before me. I wanted to speak tonight because I want to also register my opposition to any cooperation between Helena and ICE. I have moved to Helena. I've been here for years. I moved to Helena because I love this community. I think it's a wonderful place to live, and this is not what I want for my community. I don't think our community is any safer without Mr. Martinez in it. In fact, I feel a lot less safe with this kind of thing going on. As somebody else mentioned earlier, after ICE rounds up all the undocumented folks, I don't think it stops there. I think they start coming for the rest of us next. And I thank you for your time. And again, I strongly oppose any cooperation between the City of Helena and ICE. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Mayor, I have Becky Piskey.
You have the floor, Becky.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Collins and City Commissioners. My name is Becky Piskey. I live in Helena, and I have participated in many commission meetings for years concerning the usual city issues: street lights, speed limits, bike paths, etc. Today, I speak regarding a much more serious situation, that of the arrest and removal of Christopher Martinez. Please consider taking any action you are able, resolution, conversations, etc., to strongly urge our City of Helena Police to avoid participation with federal ICE agents. This recent debacle of city, county, and ICE law enforcement taking a man who was never charged nor allowed due process is scary and erodes citizens' trust in our local police and government. I fully support our city and county law enforcement officers. I also think this incident requires closer examination and a conversation between our governmental leaders, you, and our officers, with the hope to avoid future events such as has happened to our Helena resident, Christopher Martinez. I thank you all for your service. I thank the Helena Police Force for all the years of good service, and I expect many more years of this continued good service. Let's fix this. Finally, I thank you all for giving this incident and issue immediate attention.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, next online I have Kathy Day.
You have the floor, Kathy.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission. I just want to thank you for your patience and openness and willingness to listen to this courageous and heartfelt testimony. I will not belabor nor repeat all of the legal and emotional and moral arguments that have been made. What I want to say is my husband and I moved here in 2007, where he had run a nonprofit 6 years prior to that. I found Helena to be such a welcoming and inclusive community. And I have been struggling with why I am feeling in the depths of despair with what's happening in our country and now in our community. I believe that the members of Helena Police Department and all of you and the people in this hearing tonight are committed to building a community where we don't support wrongfully detaining people because of the color of their skin, nor not giving them the same legal rights to which we are all entitled. I am struggling because I want this to be a community where all of you, my children, and my grandchildren who moved here because it was so different than Florida where they lived, will be a place where they will be treated with dignity, justice, integrity, and compassion. I believe you and members of our Helena Police Department and many, many members of our community want the same thing. Please do all in your power and purview to do what you can to address this egregious situation. And my heart goes out to the family of Christopher Martinez. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, the last hand I have raised online is Gabby Loaiza.
You have the floor, Gabby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hope everyone can hear me. Good evening, commissioners and Mayor. My name is Gabby Loaiza, and I was present the day Christopher Martinez was detained here in Helena. I want to speak clearly about what happened because language matters. For the most part, all of the public comments I've heard have been good with this, but I have heard some people use the term deport or deportation. In the United States, the definition of that word implies a legal process, due process. And that is not what happened to Mr. Martinez. Based on what I witnessed and what we know, the appropriate words here are kidnapped, abducted, or trafficked. These are heavy terms, but they reflect the reality more accurately than the sanitized legal terminology often used to excuse harm. I personally tried to get answers from both HPD and the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office that day. I was sent in circles. Neither agency took responsibility for what was unfolding, and both appeared either confused or complicit. Frankly, ICE made both of our local law enforcement agencies look incredibly bad. If I were a member of HPD, the Sheriff's Office, or any entity that oversees them, I would be outraged at how the federal government undercut years of community trust in one single act. Mayor, I also find your recent comments deeply troubling, mainly because they do not pass the sniff test. There are several issues with the narrative being put forward. Number one, Christopher was pulled over by HPD the day before his detainment, and he was not cited for the expired registration. Yet the next day he was pulled over again. Sniff. Why did that happen? Christopher's habeas corpus filing makes it clear. It was ICE who was contacted, ICE who arrived, and ICE who transported him away in an unmarked vehicle. Coordination happened. It is clear as day. And most importantly, I do not feel safer. I feel more afraid. You probably, I don't know if you remember my name, but that's why I feel more afraid. Many others do too. People are scared to leave their homes. They now see law enforcement not as protectors, but as extensions of a federal immigration dragnet. That fear is not paranoia. It's rooted in lived experience, and it destabilizes public safety, not just for immigrants, but for everyone. I am almost done. I want to leave you with something I saw at Christopher's Vigil, a sign that read, "A free country doesn't need unmarked vehicles." To that, I'd add, a free country that values the right to bear arms should think very carefully about the consequences of an unidentified man grabbing people off the street and shoving them into vehicles without markings or accountability. That is a volatile and dangerous scenario for everyone involved. Please understand, this is about more than one man. This is about the integrity of our institutions and the safety of our entire community.
Gabby,
Thank
you
you.
want to wrap up? Thank you. Do you have any others?
Mr. Mayor, I have no other public comment online.
Well, we appreciate all the comments, and we will take them to heart, and we will do things within our purview, things that we can do in our authority. There were several good ideas posted here today, and I took notice of it. So I want you to know that we're listening, and we're paying attention to what was said here today.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any final comments? This meeting is adjourned.